Hi there, it's Heather from Holistic Simplistic, here to share with you another one of my favorite dinner recipes. Today we're doing our dinner demo with asparagus, potato, and leek soup, a super simple soup, so delicious. All the dinner demos that I show are 30 minutes or less with 10 ingredients or less, fast, simple, and healthy. So hopefully you were able to get your grocery list, and if you were not, then I can email that to you. Email me at heather@holistiksimplistic.com and I can shoot that out to you so you can cook right along with me. These dinner demonstrations are totally without any surprises or pre-cooked anything, so I'm cooking right along with you the full way. If you have any questions, you can just tweet me at HOLSIM Heather, and I can respond to you live in this broadcast. So let's get started with today's recipe with our simple soup, super tasty and delicious. We're doing the asparagus, potato, and leek soup. It's nice and creamy and delicious, perfect for springtime. I used a lot of vegetables that are in season too. So that's really amazing if you were able to get out to a farmer's market just like myself. We'll start with the veggie broth. We're going to put it in our saucepan and allow that to heat up. Put about 1 cup in. We're going to save another cup for later. And I just eyeball it. I really don't measure mostly. It's not all that necessary. So we'll turn up the heat and allow that to boil. And the next step, we're going to take our leeks and we're going to add them to the broth. So if you don't have a leek, it's within the onion family. So if you have a regular onion or garlic, you can chop that up as well. Since it's a root vegetable, you want to just chop off this end of the roots. I'm not going to put that in. Just want to use the white and the light green parts. Don't want to get too far to the end. It actually changes the flavor. So I want to keep it nice and light. So just give it a couple of chops. If you can see here. And go up a little bit into the stock. Some of that tasty green parts. And then we're going to take the rest and put it aside. If you're noticing that some parts are, they kind of peel apart just like a regular onion. There's just a little bit of dirt on here. So I'm just going to take a quick rinse for this. You just don't want to include any of that dirt in your recipe. Doesn't add good flavor. So just want to lightly rinse these off, wipe these off a little bit, and then we're just going to add it into our veggie broth stock. And that's going to give a really nice fresh flavor to our soup. So make sure you rinse these. The leeks have a strong fragrance, just like regular onions, so it actually is going to sting your eyes a little bit. Just has a nice fresh flavor, really adds to the stock, makes it nice and tasty and delicious. Just add these in. So probably, I don't know, maybe like a half a cup of these along with the broth. Some little bit here. Get all this off. Love this recipe and how fast it is. It actually surprised me how quickly I was able to make this soup. Most soups you feel like you have to simmer all day. So this is definitely not one of those recipes. After a long day of running around Manhattan, the last thing I want to do is sit in front of a stove and simmer and wait for things to cook for hours and hours. Nice and quick and fast is great, but I just want to make sure I have all those healthy ingredients, which is amazing. So just want to give a good layer of the leeks. We'll put the rest of this aside. Nice. So for the rest of the vegetables, for the asparagus and the potatoes, I'm actually going to steam it. So what I'm going to do is take my steamer and place it right on top of the veggie broth with the leeks inside. And place that right on top. If you don't have a steamer, not a big deal. You can just throw the asparagus and potatoes in with the broth and boil it. It's all the same. I prefer steaming. It just makes things a little bit healthier and cooks a little bit faster. So let's put the top on here and allow that to boil a little bit quicker and have all that heat contained in one area. And we'll start to prep the other vegetables. So I've just got a couple of medium-sized potatoes. These are Yukon Golds. I was definitely scoping the farmer's market. Just such an amazing weather here in the New York City area. So the farmer's market has been my go-to for fresh, seasonal ingredients. And scored these awesome Yukon Gold. These are perfect for just regular soups or making with, just baking them with other ingredients. You want to quarter these with the skins on. I actually keep the skins on just as one last step. But if you prefer the skins off, by all means, you can definitely take them off. It just adds a little bit of fiber and color for me. So you just want to quarter them, make them a little bit smaller. It makes them easier to cook through. So now, like I said, 2 medium potatoes, but if you're cooking for more people, you might want to bump up the measurements. There's no need to be totally precise. Everything was within eyeball range for me. So we have about 2 medium potatoes diced here. So I'm just going to throw that on top of the steamer and allow these to start the cooking process. Potatoes take just a little bit longer than our asparagus, so we want to get those started. Throw those on top. And allow that broth with the leeks on the beneath it to steam through. It actually helps all those ingredients absorb together. Next is our asparagus. So this is great. We're just going to keep just about half of the stock. When it gets down towards the end, it's a little bit too tough and would change the flavor, a little bit woodier, just like the leeks. So you want to just cut the tip and maybe a little bit more of the stock and discard the rest. I grabbed a full bushel of the asparagus, another amazing ingredient that's perfect in this particular time of season. So grab these from your local farmer's market or grocery store. They should be plentiful. Just want to cut just the tips off and a little bit of the stalk. Like I said, if you're missing anything or have a quick question, shoot me a message on Twitter. It's HOLSIM Heather, and that's my Twitter handle, and I'll be able to answer that for you live in this broadcast. So continue to get these chopped away. It's always nice to make a good stew. It's easy and portable when you have, if you make enough to take to you with you to work for the next day, also, or the next evening for another dinner later on. You can also freeze these soups. Soups are easy to freeze and reheat. It's always a good standby. It doesn't change the flavor of it at all. So you want a good amount of the asparagus to add to this recipe. I love asparagus can be used in a lot of other recipes too. It's nice to, as an hors d'oeuvre or appetizer, to take the asparagus and wrap it with prosciutto. It makes it a nice, colorful accompaniment if you have guests. Also, a really nice brunch option is to just have sunny side up eggs with asparagus and a little pecorino romano over top. It gives it a nice crunch and balance with a brunch recipe. It's one of my faves. Just some alternatives if you're not making a lot of the soup and you have extra asparagus left over, you don't want it to go to waste. Always want to be able to have your ingredients versatile for any sort of breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So now I've got my asparagus prepped, which is great. So we'll throw these on top with the potatoes, allow them to steam as well. So get those in there. If you feel like your broth is getting a little low, you can always add just a touch more of the broth. This is just vegetable broth. If you have chicken broth too, that also can work. We're going to be adding another cup later on. So we'll allow that to steam through and allow the vegetables to come to a more softer texture. Takes about 5 minutes for that to cook all the way through. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ingredients and what their benefits are while we have a few minutes. Asparagus, which is an amazing green, it has those great vitamins to it, C, A, and K, which is great anti-cancerous, helps build immunity in the body, which is great. Also, what's cool about asparagus is it has the ability to release the salts in the body, and it's a diuretic, so it's going to help you feel less bloated, which is something all us women really appreciate. So that's one of the cool things about asparagus, which makes it a great addition to any meal. Leeks, which is part of the onion family, like I mentioned before, garlic and onions are something that you can always kind of are easily absorbed into the bloodstream, which is awesome because it helps build our blood cells and makes them really strong, and it builds up our circulation, which is amazing. And then it also is an anti-inflammatory and also heart healthy. So these are really great accompaniments when you are cooking because it just has so many benefits to it. So always cool to add a couple of things in that make your recipes so much more healthful and great. And like I mentioned before, these are all within the season too. I've been strolling through the farmers market in New York City and just getting all these great ideas for vegetables and recipe ideas. It's always nice to be able to have a colorful display in front of you to start getting those innovations going, which is awesome. So let's check on our recipe, our stew. Just want to give a quick poke to the potatoes to see how soft they are. Looks like they're getting there, but we want to give them a couple of extra minutes. And you'll notice the asparagus will start to get a little greener as well. So give it a couple extra minutes to cook through. The next step to our recipe is going to be the blender. Once these are cooked through, we're going to add these to the blender. This is not a fancy blender. This is something that I have had in my kitchen for many years. So please don't think that you need something super fancy. Most of the vegetables in this recipe should be nice and soft and easy, so you can easily blend this through. this up. Any vegetable can really be a great accompaniment with this soup. If you have mushrooms or red peppers, that's also something great to flavor it as well. So if you want to put your own take on it, I'd love to hear your ideas. And again, if you have any questions, please tweet me at WholeSimHeather, and that's my Twitter handle. I'll be able to answer those questions for you. So this should be just about done. It only takes about 5 minutes to steam these through. You really start to smell these flavors starting to come through. Asparagus should be nice and bright. Amazing. Great. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. We'll take out our vegetables very carefully because it's going to be hot. Push that aside. And I'm going to take the broth with the leeks and pour that into the blender. So we'll take all this, we'll pour this through. And keep all of those ingredients intact. Perfect. I'm just going to add another 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of the veggie broth. Great. You can add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then we're going to throw the potatoes and asparagus in too. Careful, this is going to be a little hot. Fill this up. I'm going to leave a few of the potatoes out, as I like to have a little texture to my soup. So if you like a chunkier style soup, leave a potato or two out that you can kind of throw on top after we blend this recipe all together. Add just a little more broth. We're going to get those veggies all covered up in the blender. So let's cover those up. And if you just want it a little chunkier, maybe just pulse it a little bit. If you like more of a creamier style soup, then make sure you puree it all the way through. So here we go. Nice and green and vivid, beautiful. Looks amazing. So let's throw this in a bowl. And you should have a little bit left over, so that's great. So you can have that for either tomorrow or maybe if you have another guest. I'm going to take couple of the potatoes that I left out, just chop them up to a little smaller size, add them in. Add a couple of the asparagus. Now my final secret ingredient is going to take some of the Greek yogurt, something we talked about in my last dinner demo. Such an amazing, healthful ingredient, so great for digestion in the gut with good bacteria. This is going to give it a nice, creamy texture, adds great flavor to it. So just a quick dollop we're going to put on top. dollop this right on top. Make sure you can see that. Place a nice dollop on top. And my last thing is we just add a couple of your favorite crackers and just crush them up on top. Just gives it a nice texture throughout. And there you go. Amazing. Look at that, like a pro. This is a great dinner recipe, super simple and easy. You look like a professional. Awesome to pair this with a nice simple salad or steamed vegetables if you're feeling a little bit extra hungry. So let's give it a quick taste. Just stir this through. Awesome. That's so good with all those fresh vegetables. Please tweet me your pictures of your creamy asparagus, potato, and leek soup. I'd love to see what you were able to make in your kitchen. If you want your grocery list sent to you for next time, please email me, Heather@holistiksimplistic.com. See you next time. Bye.